The night was cast in an eerie darkness, the moon hidden behind thick clouds that loomed ominously overhead. I found myself alone at home, my family away for the weekend. The silence that enveloped the house was unsettling, and every creak and rustle seemed to echo with a heightened intensity. Settling onto the couch, I attempted to immerse myself in a movie, hoping to distract myself from the unease that had settled in my gut. But each shadow that danced across the walls seemed to harbor secrets, and I found my gaze repeatedly drawn to the windows, portals through which anything could creep. As the movie played on, a shiver raced down my spine, a sudden chill permeating the room. I brushed it off as a gust of wind, but my unease only grew. The silence was broken by a distant whisper of leaves outside, and the rustling grew louder, more purposeful. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the house, jolting me upright on the couch. My heart raced as I listened, my senses on high alert. There was again a knock, this time on the back door. Panic gripped me as I realized I was not alone. Creeping towards the door, I peered through the peephole, my breath catching in my throat. There, in the dim light, stood a figure obscured by shadows, but unmistakably present. My mind raced as I tried to piece together what was happening. Were they alone? Why were they here? As I hesitated, the figure pounded on the door once more, a heavy thud that seemed to reverberate through the air. My instinct screamed at me to barricade myself inside, to call for help, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from the figure outside. Their persistence was unsettling, a relentless determination to breach my sanctuary. But as I watched, their attention shifted, and they crept towards the windows, their movements shrouded in darkness. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized the danger was not confined to one entry point. Every corner of the house was vulnerable. I sprinted towards the windows, my fingers trembling as I hastily locked them, one by one. I could feel the figures gaze upon me, their intentions obscured yet deeply unsettling. With each window secured, I retreated into the depths of the house, my mind racing with thoughts of escape and survival. As I reached the hallway, a creaking sound echoed down the corridor, the unmistakable sound of someone ascending the stairs. Panic seized me, and I darted into the nearest room, my pulse pounding in my ears. It was a game of hide and seek, and I was determined not to become the hunted. The minutes crawled by, each second an eternity as I huddled in the corner of the room, my breath shallow and ragged. The figure's movements were deliberate, methodical, as if they were meticulously searching for their prey. My heart hammered in my chest, drowning out the sound of my own thoughts. In the distance, a faint scraping noise caught my attention, the sound of someone attempting to open a window. Adrenaline surged through me, and I crept towards the noise, a plan forming in my mind. With trembling hands, I unlocked the window and threw it open, the cool night air rushing in. My heart raced as I darted back into hiding, praying that my plan would work. Seconds later, the sound of footsteps grew closer, and I could hear the figure's presence in the room. Then, a loud crash, the sound of their attempted entry foiled by my makeshift escape route. The crash was followed by a string of frustrated curses, and I seized the opportunity to crawl further into the room's darkness. The figure's attempts to infiltrate the house were proving futile, and a glimmer of hope began to blossom within me. The minutes stretched on, each one fraught with tension as the figure paced outside, seemingly unsure of their next move. I remained hidden, my heart pounding in rhythm with the distant echoes of their footsteps. Suddenly, a shuffling sound reached my ears, the unmistakable sound of someone crawling through a narrow space. My blood ran cold as I realized the figure had found another entry point, the basement window. Panic surged through me as I envisioned their persistence, their determination to breach my defenses. With newfound urgency, I crept towards the basement door, my fingers trembling as I grasped the doorknob. My breath hitched as I flung the door open, revealing the pitch-black stairwell leading down into the unknown. I had to confront this threat head-on, to protect my home and my safety. As I descended the stairs, the musty scent of the basement enveloped me, mingling with my fear to create a suffocating atmosphere. The dim light cast long shadows that danced ominously on the walls, and I strained to hear any sign of the figure's presence. A soft scraping noise echoed from the corner of the basement, and my heart skipped a beat. I gripped a heavy toolbox in my hand, my fingers clenched around the handle with determination. The figure was close, their intentions clear as they attempted to pry the window open. With adrenaline surging through my veins, I crept towards the sound, my steps light and deliberate. My breaths came in shallow bursts as I positioned myself behind a stack of old crates, my heart hammering in anticipation. I knew I had to act swiftly, to catch them off guard and protect my home. As the scraping sound grew louder, I tightened my grip on the toolbox, my knuckles turning white. With a sudden surge of resolve, I lunged forward, brandishing the toolbox with all my strength. The metal collided with the figure's hand, and a strangled cry escaped their lips. In the darkness, a struggle ensued, the figure's desperate attempts to escape met with my fierce determination to defend my home. The basement was filled with the sounds of grunts and heavy breathing as we battled for control. But with a final push, I managed to pin the figure to the ground, their struggles growing weaker. The dim light revealed their face, a mask of shock and defeat, their eyes wide with realization. As we locked eyes, a strange recognition passed between us, a fleeting moment of understanding. The police arrived soon after, their presence bringing a sense of safety that had eluded me throughout the night. The figure was apprehended, their motives still shrouded in mystery. It was a night of terror, a battle to protect what was mine, but also a reminder of the resilience that lies within us when faced with the unknown. The house was no longer just walls and doors. It was a fortress that had been tested and proven unyielding. And as the first light of dawn broke through the clouds, I felt a profound sense of victory, not only over the figure who had tried to breach my sanctuary, but over the fear that had threatened to consume me. The experience left me forever changed, a sentinel of my own domain, ready to face whatever darkness may come. It was a stormy night, rain pounding against the windows like a relentless drumbeat. My parents were out of town, and I found myself home alone, shrouded in darkness. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the walls, making every creak of the house feel like a whisper from the unknown. I tried to distract myself by watching a movie, but the atmosphere was too unsettling. The wind howled outside, making the trees outside my window seem like monstrous creatures ready to pounce. As the movie played, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. My heart raced, and I forced myself to laugh off the paranoia. But then, there was a soft knock on the front door. I froze, the sound echoing through the house. It was probably just a tree branch hitting the door, I reasoned. But the knock came again, more insistent this time, as if someone were deliberately trying to get my attention. I crawled off the couch, my heart pounding in my chest. Every step I took felt like an eternity as I approached the door. My hand trembled as I reached for the doorknob. I paused, considering whether to open it or ignore it. The knocking continued, growing louder, more demanding. With a deep breath, I yanked the door open, expecting to see nothing but the stormy night. But there was no one there, just the torrential rain and the swaying trees. My relief was short-lived, as a cold draft swept through the hallway, extinguishing the candles on the table. I quickly shut the door, my hands trembling even more now. Maybe it was just a trick of the wind, I told myself. Trying to regain my composure, I retreated to my room, wanting to hide under my blankets and pretend this was all a figment of my imagination. As I lay in bed, I heard a soft, almost imperceptible whisper coming from somewhere in the house. My heart raced as I strained to listen, but the words were too faint to decipher. Fear gnawed at my insides as I tried to convince myself that it was just the wind or the house settling. I clutched the blanket tightly, feeling a sense of vulnerability that I had never experienced before. The storm outside seemed to intensify, the rain now resembling a relentless onslaught. But amidst the roar of the rain, I heard it again, a faint whisper, as if someone were speaking just beyond the walls. My breath caught in my throat as the whisper grew louder, more distinct. It was as if someone were right beside me, their voice filled with an urgency I couldn't comprehend. I wanted to hide under the covers and shut it all out, but curiosity mixed with fear rooted me to the spot. And then, a chilling realization hit me. The voice was coming from within my closet. It was a voice I didn't recognize, its words indecipherable, carrying an otherworldly quality. I watched in horror as the closet door began to creak open, revealing nothing but darkness within. I backed away, unable to tear my gaze from the slowly opening door. The whisper grew louder, more desperate, as if urging me to listen. But I couldn't take it anymore. With a surge of adrenaline, I turned and ran out of the room, my heart pounding in my ears. I had to get out of the house. I had to escape whatever was lurking in the shadows, whatever was whispering its haunting words. My hands fumbled with the front door, and I burst out into the stormy night, rain soaking me to the bone. But as I stood in the downpour, I realized that the whisper had followed me outside. I stood in the pouring rain, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The whisper persisted, carried on the wind, as if it were all around me. Panic gripped me, and I stumbled back from the front door, realizing that escape was impossible. The presence was with me, wherever I went. Desperation fueled my next move. I reached for my phone, my fingers fumbling as I dialed my parents' number. As the line rang, a sense of hope surged within me. Maybe they would answer, and I could tell them what was happening. But my hope was shattered when the call went straight to voicemail. I tried to call my friends, anyone who could help me, but the signal seemed to be distorted by an unseen force. The whispering grew louder, drowning out my thoughts. I felt trapped, as if I were ensnared in a nightmarish web, unable to escape its clutches. My only option was to go back inside, confront whatever was tormenting me, and end this nightmare. With each step, my heart pounded louder, my fear mingling with a surge of determination. I entered the house, the hallway stretching out before me like a tunnel of darkness. The whisper followed me, echoing through the walls. It was no longer incomprehensible. It formed words, phrases that sent shivers down my spine. "Stay with us," it hissed, a haunting plea that seemed to reverberate within my mind. I forced myself to move forward, my footsteps barely audible over the relentless rain outside. I reached my room, the door still slightly ajar. The closet door was wide open now, darkness spilling forth like an abyss. I stared into the void, feeling an almost magnetic pull. With a deep breath, I stepped into the room, my heart pounding in my chest. The whisper seemed to surround me, its words like a chant, drawing me closer to the closet. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to run, to flee from this nightmare, but I couldn't tear myself away. As I approached the closet, the darkness seemed to deepen, swallowing everything in its path. It was as if the world around me was fading, leaving only the haunting presence and the chilling words that continued to whisper. "Join us," it murmured, the voice intertwining with the storm's roar. Trembling, I extended my hand toward the void, my fingers brushing against the threshold of the closet. The whisper grew more urgent, more intense, and for a moment, I felt as if I were on the precipice of something beyond comprehension. It was a choice, a moment that would shape my destiny. But then, a sudden burst of lightning illuminated the room, dispelling the darkness and revealing the closet's empty interior. The whisper vanished, replaced by the distant rumble of thunder. I stood there, drenched and shaken, realizing that the presence had retreated. I stepped back from the closet, my breathing ragged, my heart still racing. The storm outside began to subside, the rain dwindling into a gentle drizzle. With a newfound resolve, I closed the closet door, shutting out whatever had tried to draw me into its grasp. Exhausted and overwhelmed, I retreated to the living room, where I wrapped myself in a blanket and watched as the first light of dawn began to break through the darkness. The night had been a terrifying ordeal, a battle against forces beyond understanding, but I had emerged from it, shaken but alive. As the morning light grew stronger, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. The whisper had faded, leaving me with the eerie calm that follows a storm's passing. I knew that I would never forget that night, the night I faced the unknown and survived to tell the tale.